All right. Welcome, everybody. It is August 30th, and we're preparing for the big Leap 5.0 upgrade. Big hard fork with some hot stuff coming through. And I think we're bringing back the board. You may remember the GitHub board that we used to track some of our progress leading up to the last big fork. I guess that wasn't 4.0. That would have been 3.1, 3.1, right? Yeah. So anyways, we're back with the board. Still got some old relics here from the old upgrade to keep us, for some consistency. The stuff I want to focus on today are obviously the time sensitive stuff we've got in the plan, which I will more and more of this will move over to the board. The pressing matter is the disabling of deferred transactions on Jungle and Kylan. So we can check in on how that's going. And the goal that was set by the ENF there is by September 1st. So that's this Friday in a couple days. I did have a look in the Telegram channels to see how we're doing there, and actually making some decent progress. So of the top 21, we have a few BPs that are running multiple BPs, so I'm not duplicating them here. But this captures the top 21 on Jungle, and you can see there's just a few that have yet to at least acknowledge that they've disabled deferred transactions. So what we'll do is start kind of naming names in the channels and asking these folks who've yet to disable deferred transaction to do that. And feel free to poke folks if you see them around. So this is the status for Jungle. And again, we're going to be planning EOS next, starting September 8th. So we're still a little too early to be disabling on the EOS network, but we're coming right up to the no later than date set for Jungle and Kylan. So this is Jungle, and this is Kylan. So again, just a few folks left to track down to disable on their side, and we can do that over the next few days.
Daniel, can you share a link to this board in the Node Operators channel?
I absolutely can. I'll do that right now. My screen probably looks funny right now to you guys as I'm in.
Yeah, it looks like a blur.
Yeah.
Looks like it's about 4 a.m. and I'm trying to code something.
There you go.
I reached out to Costa Rica as well, so hopefully they'll get theirs up.
Awesome. Thank you. And there she is.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. So like I said, there's still a lot of the stuff here is from the previous upgrade. Lots to add still for the upcoming upgrade. New views to play with since the last upgrade. They've added some fancy new toys in GitHub projects like roadmap views and things like that. So maybe we'll experiment with some more timeline based views. We've still got the status view here, and we'll continue getting this populated as items approach. So thank you to EOS support. I see that the message has been sent, pretty well right after our last call, as we discussed. There's been emails and messaging sent out to all the app developers. Make sure that everybody is aware of this. Is Dario or anyone from support on the line here? I don't think so. Oh yeah, I see Dario. Anything you want to speak to on that topic?
Yes, we expanded the EOS support contact database to accommodate the inclusion of the new EOS native applications. A total of 103 entries related to applications exchanges and decentralized exchanges on EOS were effectively communicated directly. In cases where direct contact was not possible, emails were dispatched, totally 263 emails sent. Furthermore, a comprehensive article has been composed and translated in all 9 languages. This information has been actively promoted across all 9 of our EOS support Twitter accounts, each operating in a different language. Additionally, dissemination across more than 80 public channels on various social media platforms also has taken place.
Awesome. Are you getting any feedback from any of the contacts you've reached out to, either acknowledging or raising any concerns?
Most said their applications are up to date. We just have information from prospectors, which have to update. Yeah.
Okay.
But overall, looks good. Yeah.
So prospectors is the only one we're aware of that does use deferred transactions. Did they raise any concern about the timelines? Are they able to update in the timeline, or did they give any indication on that?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
We don't know, but they're aware. They know they have to upgrade.
Yes.
No word, and if that's a risk for them. Thank you.
I do want to call out, since we're talking about naming names. One of the major users, at least looking at block explorers on EOS mainnet, is Upland, and I have done a personal reach out to one of the co-CEOs of Upland via email, to make sure they have sort of some direct notification as well. I haven't gotten a response there yet, so if anybody has other contacts or other means of contact, Telegram, whatever, please shoot me a DM, and I'd love to do some back channeling so that we can make sure that they've received the message. So as far as DM goes, you can hit me up. I want to make sure that I know my own username and don't get it wrong. Yeah, it's at BHAZZARD on Telegram.
Was Upland on the list, Dario, that you contacted, and have you heard anything on your side?
Yes, I just looked. We got an email confirmation that the message, this message is to confirm that your support ticket has been received. Response time range between 24 to 48 hours. So I guess they will answer soon, or at least I saw it there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to get a direct line of communication established, just because obviously Upland is a major driver of usage overall on EOS, and want to make sure that they have direct contact with us in case they haven't run into any issues or anything like that and need additional help. So
I may be able to get you with in touch. Our .gems team, who's been running the fireside chats, have done some coordinating with them to get them on the fireside chat show, and I believe they're in touch to some degree, at least. Can't make any promise, but I'll see what I can do on my side. And again, if anyone else has a direct line, yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions, comments about either the communication or the current upgrade status on Jungle and Kylan? So the folks will need to reach out to on Jungle, Amsterdam, Sweden, Genereos, Costa Rica, EOS DAC, EOS Seoul, and on Kylan and Nudex, Amsterdam, SG, Asia, Sweden, and Canon. So we'll tag them in the channels and start DMing if it comes to that. All right. Anything else on that topic? Next, I'd like to, if we can, I don't know if Brian or someone on the NF side can give any status on how are we progressing with the software, on the software side of things. Are we on track, on schedule to hit the dates that have been outlined here? And anything else of note?
Eric is often a better person to give an update, but in this case, really it's a project management thing because we ended up removing the software development tasks other than removal of deferred transaction itself, which is down below. So we removed those tasks because, and just to remind you what they were, and by the way, I'll reach out to you and to make sure that we're aligned on the GitHub board because I did that here in this spreadsheet. So anyway, the reason we removed those tasks is basically just time and resourcing. We determined that we can do this in kind of a low fidelity way, just using block explorers rather than writing scripts, which lets us keep our focus on the instant finality integration work that needs to be done. Which obviously is kind of the keystone of this release in the first place. So it's a good place to keep our focus. So I don't feel like we're giving much up there. We should still be able to get satisfactory level of information just from perusing block logs and whatnot to see level of usage on deferred transactions. As it relates to disabling deferred transactions in code, we still don't have an estimated delivery date on that. Again, just our focus has been elsewhere, but we are confident that it will happen, prior to a release candidate for this. So, maybe we'll end up putting a date that aligns with the release candidate, just so that it's not that it's going to take that long. It's just it might take that long for us to put our focus on it, right? But yeah, we are confident about the code removal, and then the removing it in a protocol feature is a stretch goal, so it won't get an estimate until it is apparent that we will actually execute on that.
And that'll be someone on the ENF side doing that tracking in the block explorer, putting together a report or something based on what you see there, or
absolutely. Now after we've between when we've disabled on testnets and why is my brain skipping a beat here? Basically, according to the schedule that we've previously published, I do invite folks to do their own sleuthing if they're curious and interested in sort of confirming there. But yeah, we'll take responsibility for reaching a satisfactory level of confidence that it's not receiving major usage.
Excellent. And on the support side, are you guys doing any follow-ups, like second last final warnings to the groups you reached out to? I know we did an initial blast.
Right.
Are we here? We've got August 28th as that. I'm not sure if this is a tagged with ENF. So I'm guessing you guys on your socials, you guys are going to be doing your own last chance, but perhaps would be good to get some of that on the support side as well.
That's addressed to EOS support. Is that right?
Well, I guess, two things there. One, EOS support, is that something you guys are willing to do? And two, this one here we've got in the schedule is tagged with ENF. So I suppose also ENF will be doing that. Is that right? Will there be
I did actually, I have not sent that developer reminder at this point, so I need to do that. But yes, we will do that via Telegram channels. On Kylan, this is kind of embarrassing, but I don't actually know what channels that is discussed in. So if anybody can sort of point me in the direction there.
So I believe I've shared that with you in DM, but otherwise it's also in the, now that you've got the, so I've communicated there So
Good.
folks in there know, and you can find the link to that channel in the GitHub issue here.
Perfect. Excellent. But yeah, we'll proceed with those messages, and also I'm also interested in EOS Support's willingness to do another round,
and perhaps I guess the more critical one is not so much the test nets, but
right.
the main net. So perhaps like the week leading up to where we have EOS targeted September 14th is the date everyone BP will be upgraded by, but we will begin doing that. Where was that here? Well, I have it in my issue. No earlier than September 8th. So somewhere between the 8th and the 14th is when we really want to be getting that last chance to remove your dependencies. Okay, and then the disabling of deferred transactions aside, how are we progressing on the Leap 5.0 software side of things? Are we on track to hit the timeline set out here in terms of the first release candidates? Are any of the the final release dates that we've set here at risk, or how is that looking?
I'm sorry, I was muted. I want Eric to give an update here, but before he does, we do have a sort of project management update in terms of release process, which I'll loop back with you, Daniel, to make sure we reflect it in the GitHub board. But we have decided to, and you'll see this little new block of things where it says early API testing. Those 3 tasks. So I've decided to add a task to make a tag for basically what's already in main as of Thursday. And that will include almost everything shy of instant finality itself. And the reason to do this is it will give us an opportunity, if we can find some partners willing to help with testing. It'll give us an opportunity to get some additional confidence in testing around the larger set of features prior to doing the official release candidate that includes instant finality. Because overall, basically, this came out of a discussion where this is a huge release, and we've got a very tight schedule here. And so any slippage could put this into holiday periods, both in the West and in the East. And so also historically, we've had multiple RCs for any release, right? And this schedule only accounts for 1. Now, after talking with the team, I'm more comfortable with that because we do have a period of time between RC1 and when we are when the plan says we'll call it stable, right? So there is some time in there for our additional RCs to happen. But anything we can do to gain confidence and find issues and fix them earlier rather than later is going to help keep this thing on track. So that's these 3 tasks. Tag it this Thursday. Eric and I are actually meeting this morning to put together a testing plan, basically just a list of things to put the software through its paces on testnets, right? To make sure that it's going to hit all the code branches that we want it to hit, right? And then executing that testing, which is where we could use help from folks on Jungle and Kylan to execute some tests for us. So anything, Eric, that you want to add to that before you give an update on the instant finality integration?
Yeah, if you take the API node update, I think that is a whole conversation for another meeting because there's a lot of good features in there. For example, there was a change to chain base, which saves quite a bit of memory. So just loading that API node up, you should see a smaller memory footprint. So that would be exciting.
Liking that.
Yeah. And that's just one. There's a bunch of other features in there too. That would be fun just to try out. I'm going to move on to software update. And then if anybody has questions about experimental API release and features, I can answer those. Moving on to software updates, we are making progress. We are on track. This is a tight schedule. We are putting a lot of stuff in. So, when I say we're on track, it's not like, oh yeah, we're going to make it with plenty of room to spare. Nope, we've planned everything down to like the final minute. And what's changed this week is we have a critical path for our release with issues and dependencies. And every day we're working on that critical path and moving that clock forward closer and closer to completing all of our critical path items.
Great. Thank you. Any questions on either the API experimenting or critical path to instant finality integration? So that will come with some documentation on things to test. When you mentioned tomorrow is what you got is the goal for tagging that release.
Yeah. I think we'll start out with try to do installation instructions, and then go through what you would see right when you first install the node. There should just be some environmental stuff that you should see right off the bat. Like I mentioned, the lower memory. And then we'll finally go into benchmarking, right? Some things that you can try out that should be faster, or just validate running the tests, just validating for correctness, and that the node stays up. Great.
Okay, and we can perhaps dedicate a good chunk of the next week's call to talk about what we've discovered playing with that. I'm sure there's folks on this call who will be playing with it between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Questions? Anybody? We'll pause.
Main thing is, if you want us to play and try to break it, give us an idea of what knobs to turn, the features, and then potentially the parameters that are intended to go along with.
Yeah.
And if you decided milliseconds versus microseconds, and
let us know.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, but we're going to need some help. I don't think we're going to have that this week. We probably have some specific config dials later on. And the reason is we don't run these API nodes, so I don't have as good of a feel as some other folks do. So I'm going to really need somebody else's config file and walk through it. And then I think I would have some better recommendations.
Funny you should say that. We've been doing an effort to try to collect a lot of what are all the settings minus all the crap that
show
people
them,
run.
Show them.
They
might be able to actually get direct inputs, or maybe it would even be a helpful start for kind of gathering their thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have something to share? I don't have anything else on the agenda. This is kind of the main topic for today. So unless there's anything else you guys want to dig into, I can share the stage with Michael to share his document.
Oh, give me the
I
power.
need to give you access. Yeah, should be good now.
I can't. All right. What do I want to share? I want to share that. All right. Hopefully you see a bunch of green checkboxes on a Google screen, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what I kind of started, and Ross is helping me out with, and we're really trying, and there's several other BPs around the space we've stolen information from or they've provided. Really just trying to get a bearing on what are all the different parameters that you have in your config files, APIs, peer-to-peer, ships, whatever, BPs? What are some of the different options? I tried to kind of group them up, like, hey, this lovely little resource monitor override, personal favorite. All my nodes versus, these are settings that are kind of grouped towards API, and really just trying to kind of get if you're running an API, these are the things you should at least look at. These are see how they're kind of together, right? And then even trying to go through and provide English versions of what they mean, why you do them, like the log splitting, kind of how they roll, how they roll together. And then along with where they came, like obviously all these new APIs didn't come out until like a 404. I'll fill in all the other minor versions, but trying to kind of get a bearing for when 5.0 comes out, you'll be able to look and see all these parameters. Oh shit, they didn't even show up until this version. Here's what they are. Here's maybe some recommended settings, right? So enough for, 20 seconds, whatever it is, 120 seconds, and then an hour's worth of transactions, things like that. So really trying to kind of go through and even, things like, this is when history deprecated. Actually just saw somebody run into that this morning upgrading a node. Yeah, V1 history is deprecated now, but you would know that if you were able to compare 2 to 4, right? Or what new things are coming out. Well, if I'm going from 2 to 4, I now have some new subjective billing options. Make sense? So this is that matrix of kind of what's important, not assuming they all aren't important. You wouldn't have written them if they weren't. But
what do you think, Kevin, Eric? What do you think of this?
I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's great too.
If you'd share this, I'd be happy to start adding some comments.
Yeah.
I didn't want to encroach on my because I just send you a bunch of random errors and just say, hey, what's my problem? But I would love to be able to now I've gathered, like I say, several chunks, and it's a pretty good bearing of it, and several of these are from me pinging you about what the hell is this? If you were running a chain on your own, what would you do? So I would love some review, or even where they came in. You know what I mean? Why you wrote them, why you stopped using them. Even like you should not be using this anymore after 2.0, right? We still do, but you shouldn't. You should use this.
But like what you were saying, like, oh, there's just no time to document and whatever. But hey, here is the seed. It's already started to grow. There's a lot of the groundwork is already in there. If anything, you could just build on top of it, and that would be like gold for us node operators.
And a lot of it has to do with just kind of this basic understanding. What the hell do these actually do? How do they even play together, right? Some of these don't even make sense that they're together. And I'm not even sure, I don't know why Aaron does this, but it was in his config. So I was like, that looks important. Anyway, but like a real world description of it, why, what it does, how to do it, and then a bearing on this way as we go forward, as we're, doing whatever, you can easily know I'm going from 3 to 5. Therefore, oh shit, I didn't even do 4, but your release notes aren't going to say a damn thing about this because they're going to skip them. Anyway, I'll stop. Any questions? Any suggestions? Obviously open to anybody who would love to help contribute. Kevin, I'm going to take you up on that.
You're getting plenty of love in the chats in case you missed that. Brian says beautiful. Seth from Boyd.
There we go.
Hard eyes. Kevin loves it.
Yeah, I do. And if somebody could give it the, I could figure it out, but if somebody knows how to quickly do it, add additional sheets that automatically pull in the various applies to. Like you should be able to create sheets that auto update according to the applies to.
Yep. So, absolutely. And even thought about a required versus optional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and yeah, it's really easy to just have a Google sheet just filtered by. You can't edit it on that sheet, I've learned.
Right.
But
Right. But that way you could easily click and like if you set in an API node, you click on that tab and it shows everything that's API and all, I would assume.
Right.
You know, and you usually do that. And so yeah, I mean I'd be happy to. Of course I'm extremely busy at the moment trying to get 5.0 out, but I would love to add some comments to here.
Well, like I say, even just a glance over of a Bradyac such as yourself would probably go a long way, or at least correct me from disinformation.
Well, yeah, I saw one thing that's clearly wrong. So yeah,
There you go. See, I don't understand this shit either, man.
So yeah, make some comments here, and yeah, that would be great. I'm sure Matthew Darwin would have some good commentary as well as others. I mean, every block producer out there probably has commentary. There, I could see some of these spurring some pretty good discussions, right?
Oh, trust me. Trust me. Yes, we have. And that's what I say. I'm trying to like, all right, cool. I understand it. Tell me all your, intense opinions. But for the record, I may not agree with them. So anyway, that's what I tell people. I say, just send me your configs sanitized. I won't judge you. I may ask you why you do something, but I don't know. I just copied it is a perfectly acceptable answer. So anyway, yes, would love to get a better bearing on it. But this is I think to major node operators, those that run lots of chains, lots of nodes, even if you're on one chain, you've got different versions. It's this type of thing right here that catches everybody because you don't force them till 5. And then you don't even have a clue where it came or what it does. Anyway, so reach out if I guess it's recorded, getting out there. Like I say, happy to hit me on Telegram if anybody else has some configs they would like to contribute or whatever.
Yeah, this is tremendous. I'm already learning some things just by you scrolling through it. Like I had no idea that 1 gigabyte was big enough to last for about an hour of transaction traces. I would have never done that.
That's a Aaron at Greymass thing. I stole it from his config. So he commented that that's what it was. So I was like, yes, sir.
I mean, yeah, I would have expected you'd have to set that to something larger than 1 gig. Yeah.
For the record, I can't confirm or deny it. I can just tell you. I blindly trust Aaron's config on that, but
I mean,
we'll find out soon enough. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you. So
yeah,
look forward to it.
This is great.
A great starting point. Let's say if eventually maybe it could become some official doc or something, but at least in the meantime, we'll, try to get a bearing on it. And that's why I say, if you can give me some of those parameters, we'll be happy to pump them in there. I know, obviously, you said, I mean, we're right at the bleeding edge, so they may not even have comments in the config files yet, but happy to, and then also help disseminate that out to the rest of the folks that ultimately need it. So
yeah, this should be parsed and put on a website somewhere with some more, options like the documentation or some site like that.
Correct. Links to, I mean, I know, and sometimes I'll go and hit up the, the Antelope.io docs, I guess. But yes, the you could definitely be fleshed out more. It's just kind of seeing it, right? We keep talking about the matrix, and I'm like, this is at least what I saw in my head. I think it's maybe what Ross saw and whatnot, because he was always big on it. But just visual indicators, and then some extra.
And then the next thing would be just we take this out and we cut like a base level config, a vanilla config that you can use as a starting point.
Correct. Well, what, in my opinion, and that's what Kevin was saying is, I mean, very easily you can go in here and say, create a view on this tab, at least in Google Sheets, that says anything that says all or API, brink, and then you can even have optional or, required type of thing if you want it as well. But I mean, you could do it via Google Sheets, but I assume
just a starting point. I mean, I know whenever we get into these discussions on any of the other network calls, everybody says, oh, no, we must never, ever all just copy paste the exact same configuration. Everybody must put forward what they feel is necessary. But it's nice to have a vanilla baseline starting point. You know what I
Number
mean?
one, here's at least all the topics. Correct. Number two, here's a little description. Maybe they're wrong right now. Kevo's going to help me fix that. But ultimately, a starting point. And maybe you do look at it and go, you know what? No, not everybody should run 4 threads. I think I'm going to go big nuts and go 12. All right, cool. At least you know what it's doing.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
I think Sweden runs these higher, right? So you can process bigger transactions. Cool, by all means. But you at least understand.
But this is like what you guys did is amazing. It's like the difficult part. Like once this data is put into, just like a JSON or something, then you can have like a very simple UI that can do all those things, like filter for the view of the version, automatically group by, feature. So you can say like, oh, I want to do the retry transaction. So you just click it and boom, you just see it in the sample config created with comments of all the explanations and what you need to change.
Sounds like you just offered to do something.
I'll say this: that
I don't mind doing it, but it just needs to be integrated with it's easy to do, but it just needs to be integrated with the rest of the docs. I think, but I don't mind putting a version up.
I will say this is that in working with a lot of the VPs, it has been interesting to learn. There's a lot of people that have written deployment scripts. I know Nation has Uber, click a button and it just, spins up a whole network. But different Ansible scripts, different things that say, hey, this is a ship node. Here's all the common settings. Here's all the extra settings. Ironically, some of them use the startup parameters versus the config file, which tomatoes, but that was an interesting, I just always used configs, but a lot of them used all their standard configs across all their nodes in the config file and then use the startup parameters to just ding, 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 rinse, repeat with their different whatevers. So anyway, all that being said, it's been a pet project of mine for a while, so glad to have made some progress. Anyway, I'll shut up about it, but happy to have anybody else that wants to contribute or disagrees. Right? Tell me why.
There's more threading options in 5 and 11 and 12.
And I actually got to go and put the producer one in here because I don't think I have that one.
And read only threads.
Yeah, producer, read only.
Yeah, those are in 4 actually, I think, because I'm using those. I was testing read-only thread 0 on a BP to see if it helped.
So maybe you just ask for the link and give access to anybody who wants to contribute here. Like,
I'm definitely, like say, at this point, I hadn't blasted it all out. I mean, I guess now the whole link's recorded.
Yeah, don't blast it out. Rather just get constructive input into it, right?
Absolutely. Like I say, would love to, and I can catch up with you guys in the channel, but love to bring y'all in, get some contributions, drop comments, do it. Help me.
Yeah. Looks like there's a new EOS VM optimized compiler threads option 2 in 5.
This one?
Oh yeah, you got it. That's not.
It's been out. No, sir.
It's been out since 2. What are you talking about?
Yeah, at least in
the
my
document
mind,
says so.
Correct. I think it's been since 2.0. Since EOS VM came out, you had the threads to go along with. Now, what you will notice is I did kind of default it under a ship node, right? And there's all the arguments about what all you can use it on, can't use it on, but ship nodes are like read-only data out nodes. Everything else, look, don't. You shouldn't unless you know to, right?
I'm so glad I said something and got corrected because this stuff is new to me, so it's good.
I see.
Perfect.
Even you don't understand all this shit either. And we have lived this for how many years? You wrote it.
I resemble that remark.
Right. So anyway,
Right.
I'm excited to kind of help it because there's hundreds of people that ultimately will probably, I know, directly get benefits from just being able to have a holistic view of it. And like I say, things like this.
Line 53 had read-only threads. There was.
There you go. I put it on BP, and see, that's what I kind of grouped, at least right now, all my BP settings together, all my ship settings together. API and P2P tends to be up here.
Anyway. Yeah, that totally makes sense why we would set read-only threads to 0 for a block producer node.
I learned, I think that may have come from Nations to give credit where credit's due, and it has found its way, probably from Kevin originally, but like I say, it's this little stuff that for years has trickled along. And the other problem is that these types of things exist indefinitely. So in version 7, that may not be a good thing to do, but you did it in 5 and it keeps rolling over. So anyway. I'll shut up. Ross will get mad at me.
It's all good, bro. It's all good.
Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone have anything else to add on that? Feedback, questions, comments, love? Awesome. Well, I don't have anything else for the agenda today. Does anyone else? We still got 15 minutes left on the calendar. We can either wrap up early, or if anyone else have any final thoughts or topics to add, we can use the last 15 minutes for that.
All good with me.
All right. Have an awesome day. Looking forward to seeing what we can play with the API experiments, and we'll check back in next week to talk more about that.
Thanks, guys.
Have a
Cheers.
good day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.